Twitter. All right, let's see. All right, cool. Drop a note here. All right, it should be good now. All right, cool. So we got YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. All right, at least we're live on YouTube. That's all I care about. All right, I'm just gonna double check on some of these links. So I don't know if it's not sending a Periscope. Cool. All right. How's everybody doing? What's going on? I'm just gonna let some people file in here before we get too in depth in this. And this is gonna be a little bit strange for the YouTube algorithm. Basically, says that you're not supposed to stream any NBA content. I did like 2 or 3 test streams yesterday, and like a minute in they flagged it as copyright and took it down immediately. So I'm gonna have to have this in like my editor and kind of go from there. So if you guys hear any like audio or any issues, just let me know, and we'll go from there. So yeah, I'm gonna save this. Once I'm done, I'll probably edit it in combination, like in afterwards, just to like cut out some of the slow parts, and then go from there. So yeah, I plan on saving it, and then I might do like a Lakers Nuggets preview with like using some of this film and some of this context, and we'll go from there. So what's going on, guys? All right, so basically I can't show all of the stat stuff that I would normally be looking at, but I use Cleaning the Glass for a lot of my stat stuff. If you guys don't know what that looks like, here's what the site looks like on the homepage. I pay for this, so I'm gonna make sure it stays private in there. But I use a lot of stats on here, and then Synergy as well, for like context. So the biggest thing I'll do first is kind of just write down some like general thoughts. So like, I haven't really thought about this series too hard. So like, who guards LeBron, right? Like who in the world is guarding LeBron? I'm assuming Grant would start on him. I can't remember. I haven't watched this film yet. And it'd be like, who guards AD? Probably Millsap, right? But I don't think either of those players are guardable players, and from the Nuggets standpoint. So it's like, then how do you adjust, right? How do you trap? Like, do you trap? Are you gonna force those players to beat you, other players to beat you? Just kind of general thoughts. The Jokic and Murray 2-man game, will it be nullified by anybody else? I mean, I think a question of like, I guess for the Lakers would be like AD at the 5, right? Like, how do you start AD at the 5 first? Sorry about that. That's my notification to take the trash out. Do you start AD at the 5, or do you go small? Do you stay big? Do you try to get McGee and Howard minutes? That's just an interesting concept. But how do you defend the 2-man game, the handoff, and then the post up? We saw the Clippers in the breakdown I did today. They elected to trap more than not, especially in Game 7. They got burned a lot. For the Nuggets, it's like, can you keep the flow? So on offense, can you keep the flow? You get moving. Can you get them? Can you get the defense in rotations? Can you take advantage of some of the mistakes that some players might make? So, I don't feel like LeBron's washed up. I've been watching him since he was in Cleveland when I was in Ohio, and yeah, he's not washed up. He's cool. So that's just kind of just some general thoughts that I go through. The biggest thing that to keep in mind, yeah, sorry, man, that's my default ringtone. That's what I do. So the biggest thing to keep in mind when we go into some of this film stuff is that this doesn't really tell us most of what's going to happen in the game. What I'm looking for is like sets or actions that hurt the other team, different concepts that teams used, who defended who at times. But like, when we look at this is the game that they played Bull and Plumlee at 4 and 5 in the last 5 minutes of the game, or the whole last quarter. So it's like you got to throw out some of these games and some of these results. But for the most part, it's like what was successful, what did the teams try to do. When you look at from like a coaching standpoint, what would I take over from this game? So I'm just gonna dive into some film early on, and then we'll go from there. Lakers opening up with their normal set for AD cross screen. So yeah, all right, let's go back. All right, so this is, if you guys don't know, Premiere Pro is basically, can I increase the font? Yeah, I can increase the font. Let me see. Well, that's way too big. All right, that's a little better. So these are some of the questions that I would be asking, just so you guys can see just general thoughts, so you can get a good look at that. You can also pause on YouTube. Sorry, I didn't mention that before. So for you guys that don't know, this is Premiere Pro. This is the application I use for most of the editing that I do. I usually throw in like a game at one time. In this scenario, I'm going to be watching just the offensive clips. Full games aren't going to be applicable for this series, in my opinion, so I won't go back and watch it all. But essentially what I'll do is when I'm editing the film, you guys can see, let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Editing the film, I'll split it into like Clippers offense, Nuggets offense, and then the end of game sequence. This is like the last night's game, and then I'll label it with like notes in the clip. So this one here, it says, they'll say like 21 chase, and then it'll say like, a 45 cut foul. They're, pin make 3. It's a little hard to see these icons here, but try to include a little bit of notes in my editing, so that way if I'm going through and like, let's say I want to look up something in the Bucks versus Heat's game, I can just type it in and it'll automatically be sorted out in these files. So you can kind of get a feel for how I kind of do it in my head. So it's just a little bit easier. So the Lakers open the game here. They run a pretty common set that they'll run for AD, where they set this little up screen here, and then AD will roll, and then it's a ball screen with a cross screen. So McGee here is setting this cross screen, and then AD comes off a little, or McGee setting the ball screen, AD comes off this little cross screen. As a future coach, where do I get the full NBA games breakdown? So the full NBA games, most of the time I just record myself. I can't pull up the recording software, I don't think. I'll try to pull it up. It's just called Elgato Game Capture. I use NBA League Pass that runs through my whole system. I did make an entire video about kind of my process. I can link that to you if you message me after this. It might not start, but I use this application called Elgato Capture Device. What it does is it records the games to a file on my computer, and then I take that file, throw it in here, and go from there. Or Synergy. So Synergy is an application that is basically used by every team, every pro team, every college team. It's essentially they do all this work for you in a way. But here's the Elgato HD60. I just have the 60, not the Pro. I think, yeah. So I have the 60s. This is the one I have right here. Yeah. So that's what I use for. It just hooks. It just goes HDMI, and then it goes from there. Some of the NBA copyright stuff can be hard to get around when you're recording it. So you may have to get a splitter. I use a splitter anyways. So you use Synergy. So they break down everything for you. It's great. The only thing I don't like about that is some of the, I guess, more specific, like they don't break down this play. You can do it in your own playbook, but they don't do like this play and tell you exactly what teams are running. They just use the generic play types, which is fantastic. I'm not complaining. It's just I prefer to do it this way, so it's a little bit easier for me. So like when I'm tracking post ups for Jokic, I can automatically go through and just type in punch Jokic, and it automatically populates with all the clips that I already have edited out. So so back to this. Just the quick one is. Here, the Lakers, they all pretty much always go ball screen and then cross screen. They'll run this action a lot, sideline out of bounds too. But they look to get AD in the post here. He attacks Millsap and then finishes. So what I'll do is I'll export this file. Let's see how quickly this goes. So let's go Nuggets, Lakers. All right, so we'll go Lakers offense. This is an after timeout special, so I always start with like the knowledge of like what the situation was if it is. So after timeout, ATO, after timeout, and then I call this wedge, lift, cross, and then it's post up for AD, and then I would just put like attack, Millsap, make, layup. And then what I do is I don't export it at this moment. I send it to the encoder, which basically it's just another application that Adobe has that will put it in like a queue, so it'll organize it all in one little location. And then when I'm done with all of the, like if I edit 300 clips, I'll send them all there, and I'll save that progress as it goes. And then when I'm done with it, I'll just hit start, and I can go do whatever else I want, and it'll edit all those clips for me in that order. The Synergy does require a payment. I'm lucky enough to have somebody who gave me access temporarily. So, but again, I would be good either way, but it's really helpful. Is it easy learning all these basketball terms? Where should I start? It is. I mean, okay, so most of these terms I made up to begin. If you kind of like, I mean, I have a terminology breakdown on my channel that I do, but for the most part, I make up my own terms. So like the wedge, lift, cross, like wedge is a term from the Spurs that I pick up, in games. The lift is just LeBron lifting up, and then the cross is the cross screen. So like I just made that up, but I mean, for the most part, you can kind of pick up terms as you watch the games. In my NBA playoffs preview, I did like a play call section where it kind of shows you do that. I'm gonna try to get to the Heat Celtics breakdown. I don't know if I'll be able to get to it today. I just spend most of the day with my two boys. My wife works tonight, so I'm gonna have to probably go to bed a little bit earlier to wake up with them in the morning. She works night shifts, so I'm probably gonna go to bed a little bit earlier tonight with there being no games, and I don't sleep much anyways. Probably a good night to get some sleep. So, all right, back to so. Whenever you see style out of bounds after clip by clip, that just basically means that it's the ball, they're fouled or whatever. This is Restream is what I use, and you just copy the paste and put it in your encoder system. You could ask me about that afterwards. I'll go ahead and I can break down that a little bit easier. So Lakers here, most of the time they'll only do a couple different things, selling out of bounds. So sometimes they'll have some weak side action here with like a pin down or LeBron coming off this screen. But obviously you can see as McGee, see like this is an immediate tell for me. So I'm looking over here sometimes because that's what I'm using to draw these like lines on here. So McGee, you can tell like this right here, he's just chilling. Like if I'm Jokic guard, I'm like, all right, well, he's not going to do anything. So this is telling me, all right, this is probably going to be a post up for Anthony Davis, which it in fact is. Let me zoom in on this clip. There we go. So yeah, so they just run this little zipper screen, post up Anthony Davis. So yeah, so strong side trap, which is a stupid decision. All right, so this is a rookie, in my opinion, a rookie mistake. I haven't seen the Nuggets do this too much. So he's guarding MPJ is guarding Danny Green, right? So normally, in a general sense, you should never trap from this strong side here. So trapping from this strong side, number one, it allows you to make an easy clear pass playing 4-on-3. It's just an easy decision for the offense. Doesn't really do anything. And then it's a mistake because I've never seen the Nuggets do that. And I don't think they would tell them to do that. So it's an easy dump and roll. So for this one, we'll go sideline out of bounds, SOB, sideline out of bounds, zipper punch AD, and I call that strong side trap. and then find the cutter, dish, and then make layup. Boom, boom. Cool. Let's see if I can pull this up. Okay, so this is the, it sends it to this media encoder, which I was talking about. So what it does, it just builds these files into here, and then I just hit this little play button, and it sends it away for me. So that's a great thing. Yeah, I agree. It does. All right, let me see. My opinion, the Clippers choke. I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. They were a disjointed team all year. I don't like the term, choke. I think the Nuggets won it more than the Clippers choked it. They got good looks in the fourth. They should have won the first 2 games, sure. But I mean, just it's the NBA playoffs, and you can't have defensive liabilities on the court. And unfortunately, the Clippers had 2 or 3 of them on the court at a time. And when you don't have the communication, it's really hard to win a game. So we get a little 80 rim run here. So this is something that the Nuggets are going to have to make a priority. They can't allow these easy buckets. Like Millsap can't get sealed on the high side here. AD you can't allow him to get the easy layups. That's way too easy. I think they'll be locked in a little bit more. But so this is transition, rim run, AD, make layup, and then sometimes I like to include like LBJ vision. So like if I'm making, like I made the LeBron court vision video, just is a little bit easier for me to like have different clips that I can just pull right away. So to highlight the players on the screen is called XSplit. Is what I use for the encoder. If I do that, it looks real trippy, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But essentially, it's an application that it's got a whiteboard system with it, so I can just draw on here. It's pretty cool. I like it. All right, so next possession. Of course, and with this, just for context, this doesn't really give us a lot of context for what happened on the other end. So like, if the Nuggets score 10 points in a row, I like to note what the Lakers will run next, right? So like, I'm watching clips, but ultimately I'll go back, and on my 3rd or 4th screen, I'll put on the full game, so that way I can just be like, all right, this is what I'm looking for in the full game. The context of when they run plays, why they run plays, after timeouts, selling out of bounds, any sort of play calls, like little things that you wouldn't naturally notice watching just these clips. It's easier to get through the clips so you can get a grasp for what they're doing on offense, but it just depends. All right, so let's watch this clip, and I saw a couple questions. I'm going to get to those in a second. So I think this is going to be a huge problem for the Nuggets that they're going to have to deal with, which, I mean, I don't know how they're going to handle it, but essentially putting Murray in the ball screen. So this is just a random kind of ball screen here from Danny Green. So he's going to set this ball screen for LeBron to attack. And then you get Murray on a switch. So they're going to have to decide how they want to guard that. But no, I'm not thinking that, but it is a little distracting. Get less work done. So they do clog the lane here when LeBron's posting up, which I think, in my opinion, their number one move should be if McGee's on the floor, or Dwight Howard's on the floor, whoever they're guarding. So in this scenario, like Jokic would go there. I think that should be the trap man. I don't, or maybe even Kuzma. But with this lineup, I would definitely say not Danny Green. I wouldn't trap off Danny Green. So he finds AD in the corner. Kuzma missed the 3. Yeah, missed the 3. Okay. So I call those hunt screens. Some people call them get screens, like get a switch. Hunt Murray, switch onto LBJ, and then we go punch LBJ. And let's say they clog the lane. Some people call that a loaded box. I just like to say clog the lane. Kick, extra, miss 3. Okay, there's a couple questions. All right. How long does it take to make a breakdown for a matchup? I personally prefer to. So here's the thing. Like, I know there's a ton of background work that goes into this, right? So like for me, this is what a lot of people don't understand is you have to know what the team runs before you can know what they need to run. So this is the Lakers playbook this year, right? So the Lakers playbook this year has all these options, right? That's not even talking about the LeBron ball screen scoring, the types for LeBron, the LeBron ISOs. Like, this is all just the Lakers, right? So you got to know what they do before you can start prepping a breakdown. So, like, I have the context for that. So that whole process took like 4 months, right? So, you know, for me, you know, it's saying it takes 6 to 8 hours to make a breakdown. In reality, you know, it's months of work to be able to build a breakdown that I feel comfortable, you know, sharing. So, I mean, in reality, like for a matchup breakdown, it'll probably, I don't know, take probably 2 days of 10 hours, you know, so maybe 4 with my schedule right now, maybe 4 days straight, 5 to 6 hours of work is what I would prefer to have on it to feel comfortable with the breakdown. But again, I like to go overboard than anything else. So I might need an assistant next year. I'm actually might be thinking about that. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we'll get to some of those questions. I'm gonna get to some more of these clips. So a little mini transition here. Again, these are easy scenarios where AD scores that you can't allow. So we just saw him rim run in transition. Now we see him in the offensive rebound. So LeBron hits Green in the middle. He attacks Jokic. Millsap can't lose sight of AD here. He's got to be able to at least put a body on him. You're talking about 4 Nuggets right now, and then AD just goes up as easy as you like, tip in offensive rebound. So you can't allow him to do that at all. So we'll call this transition, miss layup. AD, rebound, make layup. All right. All right, so coming back down. And I don't know if you guys can tell this, but like the level of intensity in this game compared to, like, you know, the playoff games is pretty fun to watch, because it's like, all right, are you guys like the Nuggets defense compared to what it was in Game 7? It's pretty comical. All right, so we got a couple offensive rebounds here. Synergy classifies them as new possessions. I don't, so I just go with what it is. Little attack closeout, little pro pass. All right. So for the offensive rebound stuff, sometimes I just label it what I like. So like attack, closeout, pro, pass, miss. Okay. I do start like some of the edits during games. It just depends. You know, there's a downside to that because you lose a lot of stuff. But sometimes I do start prepping during games just because it's easier to just get it done. But yeah, so when you maul 2-minute game, AD will switch. I think the Lakers are going to switch pretty much everything and go small, and that's how they nullify a lot of the advantage that the Nuggets might have. But I mean, who knows? You know, you never know. But 5-out can be easy to guard in the playoffs. But in my opinion, if you can create the right matchups and like, so the advantage of 5-out is like ball movement, player movement. The Rockets' stagnation made it a little bit easier to guard, but also you get to have playmakers. So like if you want to have if you have playmakers on the court, you want to run 5-out, you got to have at least 2 to 3 guys who are going to be able to read the game and make a play. And it's, you know, so that's the crux of it. It's like, if you want to go 5-out, like, sure, it spaces the floor, but ultimately, if you don't have the right playmakers in that scenario, it just doesn't matter. A lot of teams switch ball screens basically because it nullifies the advantage. So the whole goal of a ball screen is to get 2 on the ball. So when you get 2 on the ball, you've now created the advantage for yourself. So like we saw the Clippers trapping, you know, the Nuggets, and they immediately gave Jokic a 4-on-3, one of the best passers in the game. So it's just like, you know, you're giving them the advantage. It just doesn't make sense. So if you switch it, now the advantage is a little bit harder because isolation and post-ups are less efficient shots. So that's what it is. All right, cool. Since Avery Bradley, who can guard Jamal Murray? I think Danny Green will do a good job on him, personally. I think Green and Caruso would probably be on him. But yeah, who knows? I mean, I do my best to try to make educated guesses, and half the time I'm wrong, which is annoying, but whatever. All right, so we get good D on that Spain action there. So Spain, good D switched. and we get LBJ ISO miss layup. I feel like if this is the playoffs, this move right here is going to be a little bit more forceful from LeBron. Just a little bit. So here we get, they're starting to make the matchups work for them. So I think we'll see this more in the second unit, like in the second quarter when LeBron starts second quarter. If the Nuggets have MPJ out there, I think we're going to see that a lot more. Or that they'll just set this little quick screen, 21 screen, and they'll get MPJ switch on to LeBron, and that's advantage for the Lakers. We'll just leave it at that. All right, so we'll go 21 LBJ, get a switch, MPJ, fouled on layup. I don't really like to make predictions. I get people in the comments, it may have been some of you guys, I'm not sure. But I don't know. I don't like to make predictions because you're either right or you're wrong, and then your bias gets created through that. So I don't know. I like to stay out of predictions just because it helps me keep a clear head. But that's just that's just me. I don't have a problem with people making predictions. Let me see if I can go back. I missed a couple questions in the chat. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, I still don't know why there isn't split action or more cutting like Golden State did. I agree. But you also have to have, you play to your strengths in the NBA and in any team. But for the most part, not a lot of teams have the shooting gravity. Like the Miami Heat were the best shooting team in the NBA this year. So that makes a big part of why the split cut action is effective, because if you have the shooting gravity, now the slips and the off-screen stuff gets going, where like let's say the Lakers post up LeBron and they run split action, maybe let's say Green and Kuzma, right? And so it's like out of those two players, you're going to leave Kuzma open, so you're going to stay on Green. It can be effective, but for the most part, you have to have the shooters in order to create that cutting action. Now, I do think there is value in cutting. If you look at some of the synergy play types, a lot of them will, the cutting is one of the most highest value shots in basketball, because generally speaking, if you score on a cut, you're scoring 2 points pretty much every time. So it's like, to me, the offenses are all different, and that's what makes Miami so unique and special, is when you're such an elite 3-point shooting team, that leads you to be able to more cut. All right, this is gonna look weird, but I didn't realize this. I had a green drink. I made a lemon lime spark, and it's awesome on the green screen. Do I ever think I can break down EYBL or college film? Not EYBL. I hate AAU basketball. I was an AAU coach for 2.5 years. I hate it. I hated AAU basketball. It's just bad. College film I do a ton of. Me and Jordan Sperber have a podcast where we break down college basketball games. And I'm going to do more this year. But, the problem is college basketball, you get a game in, there's like 30 games a night. It's like, all right, well, this is too many. It's just too many. All right, so a little LeBron back down on MPJ. So I like that, putting Jokic and MPJ in the ball screen. Yeah, LeBron's just coasting. So this is why watching games sucks sometimes, because you watch this pass from LeBron. Like, he's just not trying. he just throws it there. He's just not trying. So you put MPJ and Jokic in a ball screen. They sound like Mark Jackson. This is a good read by LeBron, but ultimately he just is, that's a restart. We're the best team in the NBA. I want to play in the playoffs pass. All right. All right, let me get back to some of these. So I'm looking at the chat right here. Thoughts on spread offense? Okay, let's go. Do you think Millsap can guard AD? No. I think AD can do whatever he wants this series, personally. I don't know. I'm not sure anybody on Denver has the capability to slow down Anthony Davis right now. And I mentioned this on Ben's podcast that we did. I don't think people understand AD's value right now at like what he does. I mean, maybe they do. I shouldn't say that. Maybe they do. But I think there was a time where it was like Kawhi, Giannis, LeBron was a consensus top three, you know, and then Harden. It was just like AD was kind of getting lost in the shuffle. So I think he is unstoppable on offense this year in these playoffs, like when he wants to be. The problem is I think he fades at times in the sense of not even from the game, but like when he's attacking the basket, he fades. Like he'll go up, and instead of going up through contact, he fades. And I don't like that. But thoughts on the spread offense? I think, do you mean the spread offense like what Stephen F. Austin runs? If you do, hopefully, if not, then correct me. The spread offense is awesome. I ran it in high school. I did a clinic on it. I really enjoy it. If you want more resources on that, I have everything you need for it. It is awesome. All right, let's get caught up. I think Dwight will get more minutes. I think if they go Plumlee, you know, and you go for, you know, the second unit, I think Dwight can play against the second unit for sure. Yeah. My computer specs, I don't know. It's good. I built it. I just had the people build it for me. I was like, build the best one that I can do whatever I need to do with. Yeah. So. The Warriors, dude, kind of 80. The Warriors made more threes than Anthony Davis is what they did to counter him. No, they were just able to switch everything, and they have guys who don't, you know, like Draymond Green and Iguodala. Those guys just bully AD. And I don't think AD was ready yet when he's the focal point of the offense. You know, like it's easier to hone in on him when the other players, you know, Drew Holiday. It's just like when the other player is LeBron, you can't just focus on him. So, yeah. The Nuggets should try to stop LeBron and AD. That's a bold take. They should try to stop them both. No, I know what you're saying. See, here's the thing. If I'm coming up with a game plan, I'm probably going to try and stop Anthony Davis. LeBron's playmaking and his creation, it's kind of like the Jokic. Like, LeBron's playmaking and creation takes away a lot of, you know, even if you try to help off him, and he just does whatever he wants to do. Anthony Davis, I feel like if you trap him or if you take him out of it, he doesn't have a ton of playmaking out of the post or ISO or whatever. So, but that's just, I don't know. That's just me talking. If I'm a coach looking at it and I'm the Nuggets, I'm going, we'll stop AD. If LeBron wants to score 55 and have 20 assists, that's what he's gonna have to do to beat us the whole time. So, yeah. Really enjoyed the Celtics Raptors video. Good. I hope you watched all 1 hour of it, man. That one sucked to put together. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was awesome, but it was like I think I popped a blood vessel in my eye doing that one like halfway through it. So that was great. Yeah, pray to stop LeBron. That's right. Yeah. Celtics. Yeah, I don't make predictions. I like this series. I think it's gonna go 7. I hope it's fun. That's all I care about as a coach. You just want it to be fun and enjoy it. I'm planning on doing a longer video for that series as well. I'm hoping to get. I want to try and do a Nuggets one where we talk about the 3-1 in the first and second round, but we'll see. All right, Lakers starting line. ASAP 95. What's up, man? Lakers starting line recommendation. Yeah, I don't like Caruso starting personally. I don't know, and I definitely don't like Dwight starting. I think they should go AD starting at the 5. But you know, who knows what they're gonna do? You just never know. All right, let's get back into a little bit more film, since it is film prep. So, but yeah, this is really hard to do. So like that's nightmarish right there. Like if you're Millsap, that's just too easy. Like and I think the adjustment, like from a coaching standpoint, like this is what you look at. AD catches the ball there, let him shoot it. Let him shoot it. Like if he wants to take that shot and that's what you get beat with. That's what you get beat with. But let him shoot that, and then just try to contain everything else. But you can't let him just walk into a layup. That's just not gonna work. All right. So this is like I call this secondary. So transitions the first 7 seconds of the possession. Secondary is like the next 7, and then everything else is after that. If they push the ball 7 seconds in, and then stop and set up a play, that would be like a half court set then, if that makes sense. Secondary, AD trail, and I call this a blow by. I think everybody would call that a blow by. Someone asked, I can't remember where it was. Let me make sure I didn't miss it. Someone asked, what would you say about Lakers' go-to play is really in a bucket? Normal in half court. So normally, like if they're gonna need a bucket, that's LeBron. LeBron AD side ball screen has been like one of the most effective plays for them all year. So let me see. Pull this up. All right. So this is the problem with going through all of these files. So you guys can see I'm just going through. Spin lob. All right. So, there we go. Yeah. So this is their go-to play. Like if they need a bucket and you want to see them run something, this is the go-to play. So anytime they'll set this little side ball screen, and they're just going to put you in a tough defensive situation, you're going to have to figure out how you want to guard it. AD pop, AD roll, LeBron get a switch, post up. It's nightmarish. And they run it from spread pick and roll too, or high ball screen. It's just nightmarish to guard that. Like I don't even know how I would approach that in my opinion. But yeah. All right. So little stagger action for Kuzma. That's just, you know what that is? That's just making him feel good about him being on the court. Like anytime you see this watch Kuzma come off this, right? Like, is he open there? Yeah, he could have been open there, but he was never getting the ball there. It's just making him feel good because you can see LeBron pass it to him. He just wants to get him involved. LeBron, you'll watch this series. LeBron does this. I've been watching him for so long. He does this methodical thing where it's like, all right, let's just figure out who can help me this game. He used to do it all the time in Cleveland. Like he would pass it to Corver and see if he could do anything with it. He'd pass it to George Hill, see if they would just test, see who's there and who's not. Kuzma attacks MPJ there, but that's more of like a here you go, man. Here, have the ball for a little bit. MPJ, Kuz, make a layup. All right. Just found my channel from Thinking Basketball. I appreciate that. Yeah, I saw that he shouted me out. That was cool of him. That was awesome. Appreciate that. Let me know what you think of the videos. I have a lot of them out there right now. I have like 1,000 videos on there. Not all are breakdowns. Some are just sets. So that's pretty cool. Thoughts on Montrezl? I don't have any thoughts on Montrezl Harrell. I just don't. I wish I did. I don't have any. Zone might be a good idea. For Denver, I don't see. That's a good question because now I can look at the stats and see. I don't think Denver has played hardly any zone this year, especially in the regular. So in the regular season, they played zone for 47 possessions, which is 0.7% of the time. So hardly at all. And they were pretty good at it, but I mean that's just because NBA teams don't care about zone defense; they suck. So Denver ran it 0.7% of the time. Let's see where that ranked in the NBA. All right, let's go percent of the time, possessions. Yeah, so they basically ran zone almost like the least amount in the NBA. Here we go. Yeah, they were 5th. Memphis Grizzlies were the lowest one at 0.2% of the time. Not great. In the playoffs, I bet you they haven't run it. They maybe ran a couple. Yeah, no, they didn't run it in the playoffs. I don't think they'll go zone. Coach. So here's the thing: if you are a coach or you know anything about coaches in general are basically creatures of habit. They're gonna stick with what they know and what works and what has worked for them. And the Nuggets don't really play zone, and so they're not gonna, in my opinion, they're not gonna risk that in the playoffs. Just my opinion on that. But Go-to player for the Lakers bench? That's pass LeBron the ball. Yeah. Yeah, the Lakers are hitting their shots. There's nothing you can do. My favorite video on my channel? Sheesh, I don't know. I haven't even thought about that. I mean, I would say the 1 hour breakdown I did on the Celtics and Raptors. That was by far the most time consuming and fun to do. The NBA playoffs one was pretty good, but I have a lot of. I mean, I love every video that I do because, in my opinion, when you do a video, you learn something, and that's always cool. But I think MPJ will get minutes. Yeah, it's if Barton was healthy, I think that changes the whole complexion. But yeah. All right. I don't play NBA 2K. I hate it. I hate it. I don't like NBA 2K at all. I play FIFA, NHL. That's the main ones that I'll play. But honestly, I haven't turned on my PlayStation in 2 or 3 months. It'll get fired up in probably a month or two when the season ends and the college basketball season hasn't started yet. But I don't play 2K. I don't like it. I don't really like it at all. I have no idea if Will Barton's coming back. Does anybody else know? I'm not up to date on that. So, how much film do I averagely watch for a video? Oh man, I mean, it depends the video. So like I'll just use the Clippers, or not the Clippers, the Celtics and Raptors video that I did, the hour-long video. So the process with that is basically, you watch the game live. After the game, you edit it, and then after you edit it, you rewatch it in order of the clips, so you can kind of process what teams did what, go over your notes. So you basically watch the game 3 times, and then after you watch it the 3rd time, you edit that part of the video. So I mean, that's probably 7 hours per game, so 50 hours ish. I don't know. That's ballparking it. But it just depends on the video. Like the Nuggets one, I split it up between last night. I edited the game for about 4 hours, and then recorded and edited it for about 2 hours today. So that was a 6-hour breakdown. But it just depends on, the video and what I'm doing with it. But that's kind of what I go to. And I watch every game probably twice. So yeah. Best player on an NBA team, AD or Jokic? I think Anthony Davis. Jokic has some defensive liabilities, although he played spectacular in the Clippers in the kind of the final game. But I think AD is by far the better player, in my opinion. But most underrated channel on YouTube. Appreciate that, man. That's cool. Lakers best videos are on Miami. I don't know. Maybe. Could be. Yeah. I don't know. The whole 2K thing, I don't hate people if they like 2K. You can like whatever you like. I just personally find it annoying, but that's just me. All right. When would I suggest a double man to a double post player after the first dribble on the catch? For me, I like to keep it like random. So I would trap from the top. I would trap from the bottom. I would trap on the dribble. I would trap on the attack. I would trap when he first catches it. I would just throw different looks, because the problem with what the Clippers were doing is they were throwing the same look at Jokic, and he was just like, all right, this is easy. They just basket cut somebody, and then he can either skip it or the cutter was open, and it was extremely easy. So that's me personally. I like to kind of mix it up. I'm more of a change it coach though. Some coaches are like, you have to do it this way. We're going to do it this way every time. I'm not one of those. I like to change it up and kind of play surprise and catch people off guard. So, what process do I use to decide what clips is important for future series? I don't really make that decision until the next series. So like, for me, it's just kind of collecting all this information. So like, I may watch 800 to 1,000 different plays from the Nuggets and Lakers in the regular season, and for the video breakdown, I may only notice one correlation between the playoff play and the regular season play. But if I didn't do all of that work, I wouldn't have noticed that one play. So I just edit it first and then figure out when it comes back later, I guess, if that makes sense. So just, you just compile all this information that you have, and it's kind of like coaching. I compile all these clips and all these ideas and thoughts, and I may never use most of them, but like when I need it most, I want to be able to have that in my arsenal and have that in my knowledge, or like ready to go, if that makes sense. Yeah, Jokic was getting killed. I mean, but a big part of against the Jazz, the Jazz are one of the best ball screen teams in the NBA. So I don't know. I don't blame Jokic too much for that. And also the ball screen is it's more than just a one man defense and isolations, one man defense. Everything else is kind of a team defensive scheme. Not having Gary Harris early on really didn't help. Their chemistry really didn't help. So I think it looked better since then, but. The problem is they may not even attack Jokic. They may just attack the other weak links that the Nuggets have. I think they're gonna put Murray in a lot of ball screens, and we'll see. What app do I use to break down game film? You're looking at it, Premiere Pro. So this is Premiere Pro. This is what I use most of the time to break down game film, and then for drawing on the plays like this is XSplit Media Encoder. So. What offense would I run with coach of the Clippers that suits their strengths? I would probably do exactly what Doc Rivers did, personally. Lots of ball screen, attack, and then if you watch the I don't think the offense was the problem. I think the defense was the problem, personally. If I don't know, watching the game film back really stuck in. Like Lou Williams missed 3 layups in the fourth quarter. Paul George hit the side of the backboard on a corner 3, which it's just like, what do you want? In my opinion, a lot of the Doc hate. It's like, what do you want Doc to do in that situation? Like, you want him to have Paul George not hit the side of the backboard, and it's like, so blaming him for the offense is, in my opinion, not the correct move, because if you generate open shots for your team through your offensive system, then the coach's job, that's all you can do. Like, I ran a really great offensive system for in terms of getting the quality looks 3 years ago, but we sucked at shooting, so it didn't matter what I did offensively. So if your team doesn't make the shots, you're going to look like a bad offensive coach. Now, defensively, I think they could have done a couple different things, but in that video I showed, they tried everything. I don't know what else he could have done. He was getting torched either way. So it's just, for me personally, and I wrote this in a comment too, but we're not in the coach's room. We're not in the film sessions. We're not in there when they're building their game plan. So the game plan might have been something completely different, and the Clippers were just like, man, screw this. We're going to do whatever we want to do. And if that's the case, that's a different type of coaching issue. That's a leadership and building the relationship issue. That's not an on-court issue. So for me personally, I don't like to play the blame game, because you just don't know what went on behind the scenes. You don't have all the numbers they have. They tried everything. They may have said only trap from the weak side, don't go strong side, and then 3 or 4 times the players go strong side, and then it's like, all right, well, guess we built the game plan for no reason. So I think that was more of the crux of the issue than it was a scheme standpoint, if that makes sense. The Nuggets and the Heat do play beautiful basketball. I would agree with that. Primary set or offense, I run with high school teams. So we ran 4 out and 5 out this year. We had a big guy who was injured early on, so we ran more 5 out. I've run 5 out for 4 years now. We like to just spread them out, space and pace, try to get as best shot we can. This year will be a little bit different. We got a really good kid who's got 35 offers from every D1 school you can imagine. So we'll be running a lot more stuff through him this year for the most part. But 4 out, 5 out, spread them out, let it go. This year's gonna be really weird because with this whole situation that we have going on. I don't know if you guys know about this. This is a new thing, a little pandemic going on, but we may not start. We may only have a week or 2 of actual practice time, where we normally would have 3 or 4. So we're going to keep it as simple as possible to start and just kind of do 5 concepts, and then we'll go with it. So it'll be interesting to see how that works this year. I'm really curious, because I know, we're just going to work on a lot of decision making, a lot of just attacking closeouts, how to read the defense, and just kind of, going from there. So MPJ, so every rookie sucks on defense. Michael Porter Jr. just is the same. You don't know the rotations yet. You don't know tendencies. You don't know scouting reports. It's just hard, especially in the postseason. So he'll be better. He'll improve, but I don't know if he's ever going to be like a all defense guy. I don't know. I mean, you can blame him for the defense, sure, but I mean, I think the biggest thing is the culture around the Clippers is shaky right now. And again, we're not there. We don't know. We don't know the situation, but they never really had any continuity in anything during the regular season, and that's extremely important. So. Would I say that the PG trade was worse than the Nets trade? I don't know. I don't really I know a lot of the basketball, especially basketball Twitter likes to talk about that. I don't really like to. We won't really know about the PG the PG trade till 3 or 4 years from now. So speculating on that now is kind of, in my opinion, irresponsible because we don't know if let's say right now I'm yeah, it's pretty bad. I don't like the trade for the Clippers. Sure. What if they win the championship next year? And that's what their goal was, so it's yeah, I can say they lost it, but they won the championship. So that's where it's I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. It's the best team I've seen this year. The Heat are the best team watching wise. I don't know if they're the best team, but watching the film, they're by far the best. Which seems to submit ideas from the triangle. Yeah, the triangle is not really around anymore. You'll see some pinch post actions and some split cut actions. Besides that, it's not really as prevalent. It's hard to maintain good space and 5 out with all single gaps with the high school 3-point line. No, it's not, because we tell our guys to shoot 3 or 4 feet behind the 3-point line. That's a big part of it. I don't care how far back they shoot. Most of them can hit college threes anyways, but for the most part, the spacing aspect when it comes to 5 out, especially in high school, is you have to teach them when to cut and how to cut. So if you get the ball up top, you can still have 5 out spacing with a basket cut, so you can get a backdoor cut that clears a gap right there to create a double gap. You can manipulate a lot of things. Sometimes we'll have players cut through, hold in the short corner or dunker spot for 3 or 4 seconds, hold in the paint for 3 or 4 seconds. It creates different helps and different angles. You can do a lot of stuff within the 5 out concepts that turn it almost into a 4 out at the same time. So. Does LBJ make up for lack of continuity and chemistry? Lakers had worse, both compared. Well, the lack of continuity and chemistry can be built over an 82-game season, right? Where we only played 65 this season or something. So it's more the fact that the Clippers had guys out during the regular season, the load management, it just makes it different, And if I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking about the Raptors versus the Clippers, because that's where Kawhi left, and it was what are the Raptors, if you were to take the Raptors team and the Clippers team right now, who are the best 5 to 6 players? Is there 4 Raptors on that list? Is there, you know what I mean? So it's just, for me, a lot of the chemistry of the Raptors was solid with Kawhi because, number one, they'd kind of built that team up from all of that. So plugging him into that, they already had solid chemistry. And then the Lakers, building that chemistry this year, you can have it throughout the season, but if you guys don't play, then it's hard to do that. So I do not think Bol should get minutes. Anybody who thinks that has never coached a young player before. it just wouldn't work well. It just wouldn't. And I've seen people say that, and it's just nah. Will you remember him? Sure, I'll remember you. Of course. Just Brian. Got it. What do you think the Celtics need to do in order to even the series? I think the Celtics need to make more shots than the Heat. Score more points would be the goal. That would even the series through that. But no, I mean, for the most part, it came down to the wire. I thought the Celtics played a good game. Kemba struggled to shake Bam free. I think they'll create more advantages for him. They didn't. I didn't finish all of the editing of that game yet. But I think they'll run more double fist ball screen for Kemba that they run a ton of. But for the most part, it's just, you've got to be able to make shots when they're needed most. And what I mean by that is, at times, especially in the Raptors series, the Celtics would go on an 8-0 run or a 10-0 run. And then all of a sudden, they would allow the team to creep back in. and creep back in. Yeah, it's basically a Q&A right now. You might as well just retitle the whole thing. So it's about the Celtics containing that and not allowing them to kind of creep back in at that time. So, yeah, right. Team that scores more points usually win. That's the NBA T-on-T rule, right? That's just what it is. Yeah. Well, Lakers been better if Kawhi went to them. Bench would have been horrible. I don't know. I don't like playing that game, unfortunately. I'm a little bit different. I don't like playing the hypotheticals. Like, we are what we have right now. So, yeah, it's Q&A. But you got any other questions? And we'll just this is in the background. It's film prep. We'll do it later. I only have like 20 more minutes, so we'll see. Kemba did have a tip before school. But here's the thing, like, Bam Adebayo is a big reason. If you can switch the ball screen, you just take it all out. Do I have a top 5 players of all time? I don't. I'm 31, so it would be irresponsible for me to talk about an all-time players list. I don't have that knowledge, unfortunately. I don't think we know when Hayward's coming back. Probably at least another week, I'm assuming. Full game film. All right, so here's some tips for full game film. Go to YouTube, type in full game NBA 2020. Torrents all over the place. Just type in a torrent site. You didn't hear that from me. I don't know what they are, but I've heard things they do that. NBA League Pass. You can just record it through any computer, any sort of device that you have. That's pretty much where I find all mine. So if you want to see game film, just go to Google, type in where do I find full game film 2020, and there should be like resources all over the place for that. Why would this distract anybody from the Nuggets? The Nuggets are awesome. I hope it doesn't distract it. That's good. So, prime Kobe or prime LeBron? Both. Prime rib. While watching Kobe and LeBron highlights. There you go. What do I think of the Warriors next season? I'm excited to see the Warriors next season. I'm excited to see what they do with the draft pick stuff. They're gonna have to trade it. There's no way. So yeah, I don't play hypotheticals or predictions. I don't like them. It's like 2K. I just don't. If I don't like it, I don't want to deal with it personally. Does LeBron undermine all his coaches? Doubt it. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. I'm sure he does. I'm sure everybody does, though. I undermine people all the time, so I don't know. I think the Warriors will absolutely be contenders next season. I think it's going to be a problem because, Steph watches Dame shoot all these deep threes, and everybody's saying that they're the Dame shot now, and it's going to be an issue. Do I think Michael Jordan would survive in the era? Yeah, Michael Jordan would survive in the era of any era. If you just say, if you think Michael Jordan would survive, you could just end it there because he would. Like the greatest player, that's what like the all-time list, the greatest players are going to be there no matter what, so... I haven't watched Chappelle's Show in a long time. I watched it like occasionally. So, can I see the Knicks? I cannot see the Knicks being in the playoffs next year. Sorry. How many games do you think the Nuggets will get? I don't know. We'll see. I think they can get 4. And they can get 3. They can get them all. Yeah, NBA full HD. But you didn't hear it here. That's not from us. Do I agree with many that Doc Rivers really put out series? No, I don't. I think Nuggets outplayed him. I think the Clippers didn't do well. So, helping with the high school team in my area, free time. Message me on Twitter, DM me on Twitter. I can send you some of the stuff that I've used before for decision making. When did I start watching and analyzing film? I've always kind of been in this, I guess, interest. But for the most part, back in like 2011, I want to say, 2012, I was online looking for kind of good resources and couldn't really find any that I wanted to see. There was, B-Ball Breakdown and Zach was out there. How You was doing things. But there wasn't like a ton of, things that would teach you the game. So I was like, well, I want to just create one, build myself up in that knowledge, and then I can help everybody else. So that's kind of so 2011, 2012. I started watching like as much as possible, and I did it in like that was back when you didn't really have all this stuff online, so I had to cut up DVDs. So I would watch I'd watch a full game and have to manually edit and record on like my TiVo on the DVDs and like make all these DVDs and stuff. It was so inefficient, and now I'm doing it in a much better way. So it's weird seeing it's more effective. Well, Jokic is a much better passer than Jeff Green ever was. So, but I mean, Jeff Green is a scorer downhill. Jokic is one of the best passers in the NBA, so that's not that weird. What do you think about the Miami trap on Kemba? How to solve it? They didn't really trap him. They just mainly switched it and then loaded up on them. So the biggest thing is when the Miami's switching, it stagnates the Boston offense. If Boston just makes 4 or 5 passes, they can be a lot better. How did I begin to grasp pacing in the game, like how to manipulate to your advantage? The more film you watch, the more comfortable you'll get with every situation. So you'll start seeing like, oh, I've seen this 100 times. So when you start watching it, the game just naturally slows down. So like I would spend, like when I first started this whole thing, I would watch literally 16 hours of film a day, like just obsessively amount. I wasn't healthy. I got out of shape really quickly. I was unhealthy mentally and physically, just not in doing the right things. But it allows you to slow the game down. So like just start watching things, and like I said, I watch these games 3 times each, so it's not like I'm just making this up. When I watch stuff, it's absorbing all of the information. So by the time you watch it for the second and third time, it's like, okay, well, I've seen that before. So it starts to slow down more and more and more. Yeah, NBAHDreplay.com. Yep, that's a good one too. But you didn't hear it from me. I don't think I'm allowed to say that out loud. So you didn't hear from me. The Warriors open up depth. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot can change before next season for the Warriors and the depth. We'll see. I don't like LaMelo Ball for anybody right now. I just don't trust that at all. Like if you watch the game film of him playing in Australia, it's not great. It's not a great competition. So the X factors in this series, it's pretty simple. AD and Jokic, and then Murray and LeBron. Those are the main guys. They have to win it for their teams. Period. It's just not that. Who's a better passer, LeBron or Jokic? I don't know. They're both awesome. We should appreciate them both being awesome. Would Iverson average 40 in the NBA? I don't know. I didn't really watch Allen Iverson. I think I was like, 10. So I don't really remember Allen Iverson. I'm sure he would. I'm sure it'd be great. How do I feel what 2021 Nets will do? I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? It's a big mystery with KD's injury. We don't know. Kyrie needs to stay healthy. I don't know. You need that Miami video. Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. I'll get that Miami video done by the morning. Sure. Can Celtics win the next game in the series? Yeah, Celtics win the next 4. The Heat could also win the next 4. They're extremely even. So I don't know if we can say Allen Iverson was too inconsistent from 3, because now everybody's taking 3s, so maybe he grew up with 3s, maybe even more consistent. That's why I don't like comparing eras. So. Do I have a team to support? I do have a team I support. I support the Cleveland Cavaliers. I am a huge Cavs fan. I grew up in Ohio. I grew up when they had Smush Parker and Ricky Davis. I got Smush Parker's headband sitting courtside. It was awesome. I had no idea that he sucked. But I am a huge Cavs fan, all Ohio fan. Cavs, Ohio State, Indians, Browns. So my fandom for sports it's not great. It's a lot. It's a lot of it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain. I don't have a stream schedule. I don't really stream. This is just kind of like a thing I'm trying out. I might do more of it. We'll see. I don't know. If you guys want it more, we'll see. I don't know. It's hard because like if I spend time streaming, then I'm not spending time breaking down. So maybe I'll do like live breakdowns. But I have priorities for my membership site, and people that are paying me. I try to prioritize them obviously over some of the free stuff just because they're paying me. So it's finding a balance between that and then YouTube and then Twitter. So maybe more streaming in the off season, but it's a little bit harder because I prioritize breaking those games down so much. So. All right, well, you watched AI. I didn't. I wasn't really into the NBA like I am now until like 2011, I would say. I didn't understand some of the stuff that was going on, but I thought Porter made Kevin. How do I feel about Kevin Porter's season? I thought he made good strides. I think he just has a lot of he's got a lot of effort to go. Like I think his talent is there obviously, but like his discipline, his decision making, like just some of the little things that separate the best. I think he needs a lot of work there, but that's just me. I don't know if EJ Liddell is an NBA. I mean, it's hard to project that, but I mean, you just don't know. I don't think Garland can be a top tier point guard. That's just my opinion. But again, rookie years mean nothing. Trae Young is a perfect example of that. I do remember Ricky Davis getting a triple double by throwing it off his own. I think his own rebound, right? He got the rebound, threw it off his own basket to try to get triple double. I definitely remember that. Colin Sexton's fine. I just don't. He's okay. It's hard to gauge these guys on a bad team because they look much worse than they probably actually could be. Like if you took Colin Sexton and put him on the Clippers, what would he look like? I don't know. Best defensive player. Here's the thing. I don't do a ton of draft stuff. That stuff's incredibly difficult to project and do. I respect a lot of people that do that. That project draft stuff and even study the draft and everything. I just cannot. I don't have the mental bandwidth to try and project that stuff. And plus, you don't know guy's motor, where he goes. There's so many variables in drafting that I just avoid it. It's just hard. What do you think of Drummond trade? I don't know. Drummond's not. I'm not a fan, but again, I kind of gave up on the season pretty quickly. So it's like, all right, sure, we'll see where this goes. Is LaMelo a bust? I don't know. What do you think a bust is? I think that's the thing. What's your definition of a bust? Is Markelle Fultz a bust? He's one of the if you took the whole world, he's one of the best basketball players in the world. Is that a bust? I don't know. I mean, I think expectations are a really weird thing. I think your expectations of LaMelo Ball might be different than mine. So, like, if I think he would be a all-star and he doesn't make an all-star, that's a bust. But if you think he's going to be the best player of all time and he's not, then he would be a bust. So it's like, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know anything about Avdija. I think that's how I pronounce his name, Avdija. I don't know anything about him. Not a thing. I watched some EuroLeague in the off season, but I don't know the players well enough to project that at all, unfortunately. What an average fan should notice while watching an NBA game to better understand the game. 1 to 2 basic things. I would just try to pick up on tendencies and matchups, in the sense of like tendencies for like let's say the Lakers offense. When they score, how did they score? When they didn't score, why didn't they score? And then for matchups, like in the game versus the Nuggets, when they pick on Michael Porter Jr., how are they doing it? Ball screen, post-ups, isolations. When they pick on Murray, a ball screen, just pick on those couple things and just try to kind of go from there. When I first started out, I would write down everything that happened. I mean, like the most minuscule details. So I'd watch a game back and I'd take notes. I have notes. If you don't have one of these around you at all times, you're doing something wrong. You should have a notepad around you. You should have. I mean, I have 50 notebooks right there, ready to go. Some fill, some not, because you just never know what's important. So taking notes is the most important thing, and then just deciding what you think is important from there. And you know what? When I first started, I was so stupid. Like I was just dumb. Like, and I'm not that smarter now. I just watch more film. So like, I just understand what I'm not thinking. So like when you first start watching, you're like, oh, that, like watching it live, you're like, man, yeah, that's a really, like, the Celtics are really killing them with that backdoor, that cut action. And you watch back film and you're like, oh, they did that once the whole game. Your brain plays tricks on you, and we have the recency bias. So like, just take notes, and then when you rewatch it, kind of look back at your notes and what you thought was happening, and then realize that, oh, that's probably not what was happening, and then adjust from there. And then as you kind of fine-tune that craft and that process, you'll start figuring out stuff a little bit more easier, and kind of goes from there. So I do not think coaches are the NBA superstars. I think NBA superstars are superstars, and most teams ride with them. A perfect example of that would be John Beilein, one of the best coaches of all time in college basketball. And he goes to the NBA, and he goes to a not very good team, not a talented team at all, and they played like a bunch of slugs. You know, they weren't as fast as he wanted them to be, apparently. And it just the coaching makes a difference when it comes down to the highest of the highest levels. Like Brad Stevens and Nick Nurse make a difference because they have some of the better players, so they can kind of get going from there. So Garland and Sexton need to be Lillard and McCollum. Yeah, that would be amazing if Garland and Sexton were Lillard and McCollum. That would be amazing. Porter does look promising. I agree with that for sure. When I start learning how to win games and how do you approach your opponent, you just try to slow them so you have the edge, or just focus on yourself. So the number one thing is basically every team has a strength and a weakness. Some have a lot and some have a little, especially at the high school level. So what you have to realize at the high school level is these kids are off doing a lot of other things. You know, they're in school, they have after school activities, they have homework, they have other responsibilities in their life. They're growing, like they're not smart people yet. They won't be that way until they're like 60. So you have to realize that if I build a scouting report and tell them exactly what the other team's going to do, 90% of the time they're going to screw it up. Because there's 2 games a week, and they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about the girl who's sitting in the third row, and they're really excited about her, being at the game. So they forget that, they're guarding a shooter, and they let him shoot a 3. So you have to really mitigate a lot of those weaknesses mentally and physically. So you have to kind of just pick 2 or 3 things and say, we are going to do this, and we are not going to do this. And you can either focus on yourself at first or focus on the opponent. I prefer to focus on our team and just say, this is what we're going to do. This is how we win. Here are the 5 plays that we want to run tonight. Here are the 5 plays we don't want to run tonight, and then just give them that information. And just being in their ear in timeouts, just reminding them of those 3 things and focusing on that is extremely important. But ultimately, you're going to get mad because they're high school kids and they're angry. They anger you all the time. That's just what they do. But I love them. I love them to death. All right. What's up, Jordan? If you guys don't know, so Hoop Vision 68, you guys should follow him on YouTube and on Twitter. We do a podcast together. But he says, if moving screen gets set in a forest and no one's there, doesn't make a sound, I'll hang up and listen. One of my biggest pet peeves is people talking about moving screens, just for the record. And of course, someone's going to bring up moving screens now. What's up, Jordan? All right. Chance of Celtics beating the Heat? I don't know. 50-50, man. It's going to go both ways. We should hire Kenny Atkinson and get defensive assets because defensive schemes back. I really like Atkinson, and I think they're going to give Bickerstaff a chance. But I really like Atkinson a lot, for sure. Celtics need to switch where Kemba's on, but I don't think the Celtics should switch Kemba ever. But they do a good job of off-ball switching, but I don't think they should switch him ever. I don't know if we should fire Kobe Altman. I don't think that I'm in that position to make that decision. Love the channel. Appreciate that. Thank you. If I'm a high school player, would watching NBA film be a smart thing to watch? Sure. What are you trying to do? That's the biggest question. What do you want to do and what do you want to be? I would start probably watching college. College is probably the most directly applicable one to you in terms of like schemes and thoughts and IQ. But if you want to learn skills, NBA is the best for skills. Just don't copy a lot of their footwork. Tends to be a lot of travels in the NBA, but copy some of their skills and the balance. Copying the balance is great, but yeah. I want to trade Tristan Thompson badly. I don't know. You can trade him. I'm not in control of that. So, that's again, it goes back to we can only control what we control. We can't control who's on the team. We can control our reaction. That's about it. Like Luka made first team, great season. Man, Luka is top 5 right now. I don't care what anybody says. Mainly because it looks like what I would look like if I go out and try to play right now. Like slow, could pass the ball, and that's about it. I mean, obviously he does more than that, but that's kind of like I could see myself doing some things that he does. What's considered good spacing? I don't know. Depends. Depends what are you doing? Are you 4 out? Are you 5 out? Are you 3 out, 2 in? You can have good spacing with anything you do. The biggest thing is, how does it create an advantage for you offensively? That's it. In U.S. high school, you guys play a lot of matchup. Coach from Hong Kong. What's up? That's awesome that you're watching this. Those players are really bad in isolation. I played a matchup zone, not this past season, but the previous 3 years. We played a matchup zone defense, mainly because we were extremely undersized, and you know, it can go both ways. So you can either do it because you can be tricky, or you can do it because you suck at defense at times. That's kind of where I look at it. The beauty of a matchup is basically you can kind of control who's guarding who on offense, but like defensively you can kind of jam them up. Personally, I would not be a fan of a matchup zone. Maybe like a 2-2-1 back to a 2-3 or a 3-2 and just kind of change it. But we don't play a ton of matchup zone here, no. All right. Who's probably the most underrated coach and player in the league right now? Man, see that again. The underrated, overrated comes down to your opinion of them. Like we had someone, I don't remember who said it, and it's all due respect. Free Yak said he didn't like that Luka made first team, and that's sure. I mean, he could be right. I could be right. I could say that he deserved first team, but at the end of the day, like, as long as like you understand, like he doesn't value Luka like I do, and that's okay. So the underrated, overrated thing is like, okay, I guess I think people are underrating Anthony Davis. Well, Lakers fan may think Anthony Davis is literally the best player of all time. So are they overrating him, or are I underrating him? So that's kind of subjective in my opinion. That didn't answer your question. I understand that. And most NBA coaches are knowledgeable and good coaches. If you were to sit down with them in a film room session or in go over their playbook or go over their thoughts and their basketball minds, most of them, their basketball minds are extremely sharp. Like, they're some of the smartest basketball people in the world. There's a reason they're head coaches in the NBA. There's only 30 of them, right? But the difference is we are very subjective to this coach isn't very good, this coach is good. Where in reality, like if you swapped two coaches, like let's say you swapped Brad Stevens and Billy Donovan, like does Brad Stevens still get the same on the Oklahoma City Thunder team? Probably, but do we know that? No. So it's comparison is a thief of joy. So when you look at things, you're like, all right, well, you're underrating him and I'm overrating him. So we kind of have to meet in the middle and realize like there has to be some sort of subjectivity in that. Didn't answer the question, but that's what I'm saying. So, all right. Didn't hear the app I used. So it's called XSplit. It's what I'm using to stream right now to YouTube and Twitch. I don't think the Twitter one, is anybody seeing this on Twitter? No, it's not. So that sucks. That pisses me off. But it's called XSplit is the name of the app to draw. So he's talking about drawing like this, right? The Telestrator. XSplit Broadcaster is the name of it. You can record videos on there. You can stream videos on there. You can do anything you want. It's pretty cool. I like it. And if you didn't catch it or want more information on it, just DM me on Twitter. It's the best way to reach me. If I don't get back to you on Twitter, I'll get back to you eventually. Can Boston beat the Heat? Yes, Boston can beat the Heat. Yep. Great advice on coaching. Thank you. Erik Spoelstra, the right coach? I don't know. I think Erik Spoelstra is top 5 coach in the NBA. So that goes to the underrated. There you go. What's up? Nice. Am I surprised Clippers lost to the Nuggets? Nope. Not at all. It's just, I'm just not. I know, it doesn't answer your question, but, nope. Favorite rookie this year, Ja Morant. Yeah, I got a special Ja Morant breakdown coming eventually when I can have some free time. I've got how Ja Morant won Rookie of the Year and go in depth into what he does. That'll be probably another hour and a half, 2 hour breakdown as well. So great work, man. Love your channel. Thank you. Appreciate that, Flynn. What do you think are the main advantage that players have coming from Europe? I think Europe and the European teams do a much better job of teaching decision making. So that's why you see like some of the passing and vision from some of these guys that come over that are just a lot more skilled. Like the big guys that come over are a lot more skilled. They teach the ball screen extremely well. They teach a lot of like the micro skills of how to read and play the game and be a great teammate, be a good cutter, and just kind of situationally read the game. I think they do a great job of teaching that over there. I'm trying to make a trip over there. I was trying to make a trip over there, and then it's not going to happen right now. But hopefully in maybe 2 years I can make a trip over there and do some more in-depth studying, like how they run their practices and like small-sided games and things like that. I think that'd be really cool. Get a drink. All right. What's the most important thing for high school players? Have fun. Most important thing for high school players is to have fun. That's it. And maybe everybody. I think Dennis Schroeder should win Sixth Man of the Year. Yeah, I mean, they're both good candidates. I think the problem is there's a lot of good candidates for Rookie of the Year, for Sixth Man, for Most Improved Player. It's what it is. Well, maybe not Rookie of the Year. I think Ja pretty much won that by itself, but Quinn Snyder's pretty underrated. Yeah, maybe. Could be. Would I say college basketball is more of a half-court game overall? Yeah. I mean, there's less possessions, so that, for sure. But can I collaborate with Coach Daniel on B-ball breakdown? That'd be amazing. I did a couple of B-ball breakdowns, a while back, like 2015, 2014. Maybe I was on there doing some stuff with him. I just don't have time. I wish I did. I just don't have time for. Unless they just wanted me to do a video and post it on there, that's fine. But those guys do great work, so I don't know. I think they do okay without me, but that's just me. I've always liked watching, but never dove into strategy. Where should I start? Any books or anyone else? Yeah, if anybody has any good books to recommend, I don't really read. I actually don't read a ton of basketball strategy books. I read more like war and leadership books, and like I actually read some like football strategy books of like how they build their playbooks and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of correlation. But I read more like leadership style books for that. The big thing going into there's a NBA coaches playbook on Amazon. That thing's pretty good. I don't know if anybody has a link for that, but that one was pretty good. But for the most part, it's like watch coaching clinics. If you go there's literally. I downloaded from this summer on YouTube and just free coaching clinics. I downloaded like 1,300 coaching clinics. Like you can find and learn and do all that stuff for free. So I would just look up like offensive coaching clinics and just dive into that. The FIBA channel has a ton on there. Find your channel should help me a lot. Understand the NBA offense much better now. Cool, appreciate that. What's up, Brazil? What colleges do I pick from and are good to watch film of? I don't know. I watch a lot of basketball. Here's the colleges that I studied this year for the NCAA tournament and for just kind of what I dove into. If you guys can see those. My favorite college, like if I'm going to watch, BYU, Dayton, they ran really good stuff, kind of under the radar, not as prominent as like, some of the better teams. Ohio State, Louisville, Villanova are probably like top 5 teams I would start with. I don't know if you can get access to it, but Bethel and Doug Novak, awesome stuff. Belmont, great stuff as well. But you can learn something from everybody. That's the beauty of basketball. There's a million ways to do things. And I think that Jordan, who popped in here, Hoop Vision, does a great job of articulating that, where he talks about there's multiple ways to do different things. So that's pretty cool. And again, like when you guys say what film do I watch? I have 285 playbooks on my website right now. So like I watch so many games that it's just an overwhelming amount. So how do you take the next step for the most part playing on fly versus? How do you take the next step from most part playing on the fly versus starting to think the game? I would say the biggest thing is, so the question is basically how do I slow down, right? Is slowing down. It's taking an extra dribble. It's analyzing the situation. And I would start, like as you're playing, I would start and just go, okay, who's in the game right now? Like, who's in the game right now? What do we do? What is their weakness? How do we take advantage of it? And then just kind of go from there. But ultimately, the more you play, the more the game will slow down. Like if you watch Chris Paul from his rookie year to where he is now, he's a similar player, but like he just is so much more methodical about what he does because he knows how to get to his spots, how to take advantage of and go from there. So hope that helps. What do you think of the rookie guards and the Cavs? I think they're good. Again, they're on a bad team, so it's hard to judge that. But good. Roughly how many NBA players would be great in every team and every system, in my opinion? I think if you took the top 25 or 30 players, I think that's a good list. But I mean, I'd have to really sit down and think about that. That might be a good question. I'll write that down. See, that's why you keep a notebook. You write stuff down. All right, roughly how many players can play anywhere? All right. Do I have any decision-making breakdowns? I have a lot of decision-making breakdowns. Not a lot of them are public. Like I said, I have the membership site that I run, so a lot of them are on there. But, yeah. Is Giannis more impactful on offense or defense? Yes. I mean, Giannis is the reason he's an MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Like, he's impactful on both sides of the ball. Do your teams emphasize offensive rebounding or transition defense? So we don't really emphasize either one. I would say if we did, it would be transition defense is what we'd be focusing more on. I run the offense, and me personally, I don't believe there's a ton of value in offensive rebounding at the high school level. There wasn't a ton of correlation between our offensive rebounding percentage and winning. Like there wasn't like we would have, a 35% offensive rebounding game, which is good for us, and we'd lose by 15. So like there wasn't a ton of correlation between that. So we focus more on transition defense, and that's what the head coach wanted. And when you're an assistant coach, when the head coach wants and emphasizes something, you build your philosophy around that, regardless if you agree with it or not. That's, you can have discussions about it, you can have conversations about it, but ultimately you're there to support the head coach. That's what I want from my assistants eventually. That's what I want from, I'm sure that's what he wants from me. So much respect for the amount of effort you show in your work. Love the videos. Cool. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I try to put a lot of work into them just because I want to do a great job, and I'm glad you appreciate that. Dubai, the Miller Ball hype. I don't know. We'll see. I know it's a terrible answer, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't think he's going to be that good, no. But I mean, it depends what hype you're talking about. What is the plan of attack the Nuggets have against Lakers? The plan of attack is Jokic and Murray. I don't know if the Lakers have enough to slow that down with especially playing the big lineup. They can take advantage of that, but for the most part, it has to be run through them, find the mismatch, create the advantage through that, and then play from there. So. What do you suggest for someone struggling to make the high school team? I play at least an hour every day. Well, play it at least an hour every day. What does that mean? Like, do you just go out and shoot, or are you like working every day? If and you have to think, like I don't know you, I don't know you, and I don't know your current situation, but generally speaking, like, what are you working purposefully? Are you getting better? Are you by yourself? Are you playing 5-on-5? Are you doing, are you doing more than what the players in the team are already doing? That's the biggest question is like, in my mind, I try to watch 8 to 10 hours of film a day because I know somebody else out there is watching film just like me, and I want to be the most knowledgeable person I can be. It's not realistic. I mean, I can't watch every team, but I tried to be the most knowledgeable I can, no matter what. So are you, like, when you play an hour a day, like, what are you doing? Are you is a starting point guard on that? If you're a guard, is a starting point guard working harder than you? That's the question. If you're not making the team, then you have to outwork the people on the team. And then when you're on the court, what do you do well? And honestly, answer that, because the biggest question, or the biggest flaw that we all have in our brains, is we think we're good or we're better at somebody else than something. I fall into it. I'm sure everybody, if they're honest with themselves, falls into it. So it's like, are you actually like working to get better, or are you just, I'm playing, like, answer that, and then you can go from there. What is Trae Young's defensive ceiling? I don't know. How tall is he? 5'11", 6 foot? It's probably that tall. He's just not going to ever be an elite defensive player, but if you have a defensive system around him that supports him, I think he'd be good. Do you have any special videos in mind for the NBA champions? Like a longer for I do have a special video in mind for the NBA champion, like a longer video. I'm gonna have to cut it down because the initial Celtics Raptors video was about 2.5 hours long. I had to cut that down because YouTube blocks it, so I might have to do like a part 1 and part 2. But I have a very special video for the NBA champions in mind that I'm really excited about. So stay tuned for that. Do I have any plans to pursue a career in the NBA? I do. I do have plans. I really like what I'm doing right now, impacting coaches through my membership site, and eventually I want to do some skill development and some like mentorship and some coaching things through that. I want to be a head coach in high school first. My biggest priority in my life is to be a good father and a good husband. So wherever that takes me, if I, as long as I can be that, then I don't mind. I had a couple people reach out, just kind of discussing some things, but nothing ever manifested. So I do have a plan. Eventually I do want to coach at the highest level, but ultimately, as long as I can, be the best father and husband, then I can go from there, Need a Goran Dragic vid. I did a Goran. I didn't release it on YouTube. I did it privately. I did a nice Goran breakdown for my members for his ball screen stuff from the 2017 Eurobasket. Him and Luka. I did a nice little breakdown on that. All right. How to take the next step for the most part. You got that. Dragic has been so good these playoffs, I gotta say. I bet you don't watch WNBA. You sure? You sure I don't watch WNBA? Okay. Well, that's what you think. That's what you think. Here's the thing. I do watch WNBA. It's not my focus. It just isn't. Because I coach boys basketball. So that's about it. And by the way, you should probably follow me on Twitter. I might have tweeted out WNBA set last night. What do you think about this Steve Kerr's offense? Love the channel. Steve Kerr's offense is awesome. I have I think like 45 video playlist on my channel about it. And then I have a 2.5 hour clinic breakdown I did on the offense. So yeah, it's great. It's great stuff. It's awesome. Do you think Michigan State is a top 5 transition team? Yeah. Oh yeah. Studied their transition offense excruciatingly over the past 5-6 years. Do I think the Rockets will be great with CP3 and Capella or Westbrook and Covington? Well, they didn't do it with either of them, so doesn't matter. Do I think NBA teams should be forced baseline more like Baylor? They generally do force more baseline, but I don't think it would be that exaggerated. You'd get open corner threes all the time, and that's what the forced baseline, their overhelp system, gives up. So, yeah. Do you think the Heat and Thunder will lead a return of 3-guard lineups? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, the way that the league ebbs and flows, you just don't know. I think the Celtics can adjust to the Heat's zone. Yeah, they definitely have issues with zone. They've struggled with it the whole time. The Celtics against zone has been a bit of an issue. Thought they did okay as the game went along, but for the most part, they just have to be able to get, if they can make 5 or 6 extra passes and attack the gaps, that's where the bread and butter is. But that comes down to the players. Brad Stevens calls as many sets as he can against the zone. You can't put a ton in, and then you go from there. So it's really on the players to kind of make those probing decisions, if that makes sense. You think the Clippers push Jokic enough? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. It's hard, to be. It depends how each game's called too, So maybe they could have been more physical. I don't know. I think Jokic is smart, one of the smartest players in the NBA. Where like you saw Paul George get up into him and try to push him at the end of the game, and he just drew a foul. Like he's sneaky enough to where he can draw fouls on you. So if you push him, he's just gonna throw his head up and go to the free throw line. So I think that was a worry, but I mean, maybe they could have. I don't know. Jeremy Grant's great defense. Jeremy Grant should guard LeBron, for sure. Yeah. What software do I use to record the games? Elgato Capture Device. Which team would I want to coach for? Honestly, any of them. I'd just be blessed to be in that opportunity. I think that would be amazing. Do my teams discourage the mid-range shot? Okay, this is a fun one. Discourage versus not emphasize is the way I like to look at it. We don't I mean, generally speaking, teams, like we had 2 players this year who could hit the mid range from like 50-55%, which is a good number. So for me and my teams, we don't encourage or discourage them to take a mid-range shot. We just devalue it in practice, so we seek the better shot opportunity. We don't have a shot clock, so there's no reason we shouldn't be able to get to the paint, get to the rim, and get the defense, in the driving kick mode. So like for instance, if we have a drill or we have a game, we'll play to 10 and we'll say, all right, threes are worth 3, layups and everything worth 2 inside the rim and inside the paint, and then everything else is worth 1. So the mid range is still worth 1, but it's not. We're still valuing the 3 and the 2 more, if that makes sense. So that's how we kind of do it. But like we have like this year, we got 2 good players who can knock down the mid range shot. I'm not gonna tell them not to shoot that shot. I don't ever tell them not to shoot it. I just say, hey, we're trying to find the highest value shot that's open. If you're open from mid range and you shoot it, you better make it. That's what it comes down to. Same thing from 3, same thing from layup. But we don't discourage it. We more encourage other things, if that makes sense. Thoughts on Rondo? I don't know. He's a player for the Lakers. I think he changed the series versus the Rockets because the Rockets didn't care about him. I think the Nuggets will have a little more respect. I don't know. They'll pay a little more attention to him, if that makes sense. What do you think about Steve Nash as head coach? Man, I love Steve Nash as head coach. So my son is named Nash. One of my sons is named Nash after Steve Nash. So yeah, I like Nash as the head coach. Is Jamal Murray and Jokic the second best pick and roll duo next to LeBron and AD? Yeah, but it also depends how you define pick and roll duo, because now the handoff has morphed into almost a pick and roll. So like Duncan Robinson and Bam, they don't run a pick and roll, but the handoff kind of turns into a pick and roll, if that makes sense. So I'd probably say Jokic and Murray are the more deadlier combo, if that makes sense, in terms of off the pick and roll. But like AD and LeBron can create a better advantage off the pick and roll, if that makes sense. So yeah. How do players like LeBron or Luka or Joker sell their look-offs? They use their eyes as a weapon. So the question is, how do players like LeBron and Luka or Jokic sell their look-offs on defenders? So using your eyes as a weapon, you probably heard me talk about that a lot. Your eyes sell lies, right? So like when you're attacking and when you're driving, you can look one way but know that you're going to go the other way, so the defenders are going to jump. So especially at the high school level, but defenders are prone to movements. So you see like Ingles will do that fake pass when he's in the ball screen. You can look off defenders just by looking, and it's anticipating, knowing how they're going to defend it too. If you're attacking 4-on-3 and you know that they're playing 2-on-1 on that side over there, you can look at one of those defenders and he's going to bite and the other guy's open. So that's just your thing. Use your eyes. What do you think about ESPN analysts? To me, they're horrible and dramatic queens. I think you mean drama queens. Dramatic queens. Yeah, I guess that is the full version of drama queens. But yeah, ESPN analysts, they're fine. They're there. I think it's okay. All analysts, I don't like them because they don't actually talk about the game. I think they get sidetracked too much. If they stayed on the game, it would be great. If they sound like they're having fun watching NBA basketball, it'd be great. I did like a Twitter rant about this, but essentially, when you're analyzing the game, or even like a post-game or pre-game show, and I think Bill Simmons mentioned this, you only have a certain amount of time. Like you can't just sit here and talk for an hour online about the game. But so you have to like just make your point as quickly and as aggressively as possible, and you have to like be right. And that's what I don't like about that, is you lose a lot of context and a lot of, kind of like, I guess, yeah, context is probably the right word for it. You lose a lot of, dialogue through those conversations because you're just trying to point out so fast and you just go so fast. You're just like, I'm right. Look at me. And then, the world we live in is all about, clickbaits and the big, the big phrases and the big sweeping thing. We're missing a lot of the conversation when we get into that stuff. So I don't like them because of that. But yeah, so who do you think the best perimeter defenders in the league? I don't know. There's a lot of good ones. I mean, Drew is probably my favorite to watch. Avery Bradley's good. I mean, there's, Lou Dort made it seem like he's good. So I don't know. We'll see. What age do I coach? I coach varsity basketball. I've coached varsity basketball for 6 years now as an assistant, and then 2.5 as a head coach for AAU, which, as I said, I don't like AAU. All right. Let me go back. If Rondo hits 3 threes, if Rondo hits a 3, that's big. Boston or Miami, who will win the series? Those are the options. Those are the two, Boston or Miami. Hope you get to coach. I was proud to get my opportunity a year ago. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I hope I do too. Wherever I'm needed, I enjoy this. So, hope I get to coach too. But if it doesn't happen, then I'll still be a happy person. Life's too short not to be. Should Milwaukee attempt to get CP3? Sure. Why not? What's stopping them? I mean, yeah, they need a point guard, and Eric Bledsoe isn't as good as he could be. So, yeah, sure. Nets should have hired you at Steve Nash guy. Yeah, that Steve Nash guy has done nothing, man. Come on, man. You got to give him at least like 2 or 3 years. I haven't done anything to deserve that. You say YouTube analysis better than ESPN analysis? Yeah, sure. Why not? I do watch Thinking Basketball on YouTube. I was on his podcast, and we talk often on the Twitterverse. So I do. ESPN too biased. Do I think NBA YouTuber analysts like you deserve to vote for awards? No, I don't. I don't deserve to do anything for that. I don't want to. I mean, I think to vote for awards, I think it's a really hard and unfair job to have to vote for an award. And here's why. I don't this year, I didn't really turn out, I didn't tune out. I didn't watch as much Warriors as I should have, because they weren't very fun to watch, because I knew they were probably going to lose. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's so hard to wrap your head around the best at everything. So for me, I don't know. I think it should be a little different. So thank you for the content you provide. One of my favorite sources of film. There's much you can pick up from the videos. Appreciate that. Thanks. All right. I did say I had only 20 minutes left, and then I decided I had more. I was supposed to do a podcast, and we aren't anymore, so we're good. Do I watch much vintage NBA? No, not yet. I don't know. I just don't I don't have time. There's only 24 hours in a day, and it's I spend the most of the mornings and up until about 5 with my kids, because I work from home and I want to spend time with them and my wife. And then I go from there. I watch film, basketball from 5 to 3 a.m. So it's I just have to pick what I prioritize, and right now it's not vintage, unfortunately. AAU is for the cameras and hype now, and it just gets bad quickly. Thoughts from first game of the Eastern Conference Finals? I think the Heat won. I think the Celtics lost, and it was a great game, and it was fun to watch. And I think that it will hopefully go to 7. So that's my spiel on the first game. I haven't watched it all the way back through. I can't accurately give my answer, unfortunately. I remember bits and pieces live, but my brains was on overload from watching the Nuggets and the Clippers game 7 times. So. My favorite podcasts, I listen to Jocko podcast. If you should listen to Jocko, he's great. Joe Rogan, when he's got good guests that I find interesting on. Listen to Dunked On. Dunked On's a good one. Ringer NBA show, it's a good one. Anything Ringer does is pretty solid. That's pretty much it. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. I actually more because I process so much basketball information that I typically, when I'm not watching basketball, or if I'm not working on a project, I don't do anything involving basketball because my brain hurts at times. So that's kind of where I go with that. What are some other good channels to go over breakdown of basketball film? Be Well Breakdown, Coach Daniel, Hoop Vision, Zach, Thinking Basketball. I think those are the main ones that I watch, like most of those. I think Half Court Hoops does a good job. I don't know. Yeah. So, what would be your defensive scheme and your offensive scheme when you're the head coach of a basketball team? That is wildly different in where it is now versus the position I'd be in. So the defensive scheme and offensive scheme for when I'm a head coach, I have core concepts that I believe in, as in like I believe basketball should be played this way, but how we get to those results can vary differently. You know, like if we're an undersized team, we'll do things differently than if I have a 6'8" and a 6'9". So for me, my biggest thing is it's all subjective, right? I mean, it's all different it's based on the team you have, and it may change from year to year. So yeah, I agree. LeBron and Luka are both insane, but LeBron's another level. Who's the GOAT? If you mean player, I don't know. I think we should enjoy the players for what they are versus comparison, but that's just me. You should do more live videos. All right, well, maybe I will then. Who Lakers put on Murray? Danny Green. Yeah, Lakers will probably put Danny Green on Murray. Caruso probably get some minutes on him. I'm sure Rondo will get some minutes on him. He did a pretty good job. I'll remember now. I got you. Thoughts on RJ Barrett? Yeah, he's a player for the Knicks. These are all rookie nod. Yeah, probably. I mean, when you look at the list of rookies, yeah, he probably deserved to be on there. But I mean, he's young. Maybe it motivates him. You know, I mean, maybe he gets it going. So that's a question. How do you record and cut clips? I have a video on it. It's just easier to watch the video than it is for me to explain it. But I'm doing it right now, so you can just edit right on here in Premiere Pro. So, all right. What aspect of the game should younger players? The aspect of the game the younger players, like 13 to 14, should focus is have fun. Honestly, just have fun. I think that gets lost in the whole be better thing, and maybe even I've said be better too much and outwork people. You know, and sometimes you gotta have fun. You know. What am I looking at in real time during a game? Where are my eyes? I mean, my eyes are looking at watching the whole game, because I don't like to focus on one thing. So for me, it's more about like I try not to go in with expectations because expectations ruin what your perception is. So that's kind of I just watch the whole game and then I'll figure it out from there. So thoughts on NBA officiating? How to punish flopping? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I don't know all of the underlying issues with the refs and what they're being told and what they're not being told. So Zach is Zach Boybear. Let me see if I can. It's you should be able to find him. It's Zach Boisvert. Zach Boyfer. He's awesome. He's great. He's a good friend. All right, a couple more than I gotta get going. I'm missing on the Basketball Immersion podcast. You know, I have tremendous respect for Coach Oliver, but I mean, I don't know. So I don't listen to the basketball podcasts in terms of coaching community because I typically see or have seen those in my research and learning. I'm not saying I don't learn something when I listen to them, and I have listened to them, but it's just like I don't know. I just don't find a lot of information that I've seen that's new because I've digested so much information before this, if that makes sense. I'm trying to learn new things, but in different areas right now. I'll probably in the off season binge a bunch of coaching stuff to try and get better. But for the most part, right now at least, I'm focusing on other areas of my coaching improvement, if that makes sense. And I hope you don't take that as disrespectful to anybody, especially if I didn't, include them. There's so much information out there. After timeout defense, do I look to switch it up or to throw off opponents' plays. Yeah, after timeout, I would prefer to switch a defense every timeout. Zone, man, trapping, trap first pass, press. Just keep throwing new stuff at him, and it's only for one possession. You can go back to what you know, but it's a good idea to keep it, to switch it up for sure. All right, and that's gonna be it for me. I don't play Fortnite. No, I don't have any time for games right now. The only games I play are FIFA. FIFA is the one I'll play with. I'll play, and I'll probably beat a lot of people. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now. All right, I'm gonna leave on that. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have any follow-up questions or any other thing you want to talk about, the best way is Twitter at halfcourthoops. DMs are open. Might not get to all of them. But yeah, I appreciate you guys joining me. That was a lot of fun. I'm really glad that we dove into a ton of Lakers and Nuggets film. And then we were able to learn a lot from the film. I really did enjoy this. So I just want to say thank you guys. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you next time.